Hey everyone, today we're going to unpack the really powerful and honestly pretty challenging wisdom of Psalm 146. It's a short psalm, for sure, but wow is it packed with a huge message about where we should, and maybe more importantly, where we should not be placing our trust.
All right, let's just jump right in with a question I think we've all had to answer. A crisis hits, right? Maybe it's a money problem, a scary diagnosis, some kind of legal trouble. Who's that first person you call? A parent, a friend with connections, a mentor? Just hold that thought, because that gut reaction gets right to the very heart of what this psalm is all about.
So right off the bat, the first big idea here is a really stark warning. It's about this trap that, let's be honest, we all fall into. It's the trap of putting all our faith in other people.
And what's so wild is just how much this advice goes against our basic instincts. I mean, we live in a world that's built on networking, on who you know, right? And this psalm comes along and gives advice that feels completely backwards.
And here it is, the line that just stops you in your tracks. Do not put your trust in princes, in human beings who cannot save. Now, notice, this isn't just a friendly tip to be a little careful. It's a direct command. It's saying don't place your ultimate hope in any human leader, no matter how powerful or impressive they seem.
So why? Why such a tough warning? Well, the psalm tells us immediately, and it all boils down to this idea of mortal plans. You see, even the best, most brilliant plans and the most sincere promises from another person, they're temporary. The very second their breath leaves their body, all those plans, all those promises, they just vanish. It's a brutal reality check on the real limits of human power.
Okay, so this leads to a really important point. The psalmist isn't clueless. It totally gets why we look to other people for help. Our needs are real, they're urgent, and our first instinct is always to find a real-world human solution.
And of course we do. Think about it. When we're facing injustice, who do we look for? An influential leader. When we're struggling to make ends meet, we look to the wealthy. When we feel trapped, we hope some political hero will ride in and save the day. It just makes sense. It's practical. But the psalmist is trying to get us to lift our eyes up a little higher.
And you can see this contrast laid out so clearly. For every single need where our instinct is to look to a human being, the psalm points us to a divine answer. We need justice, so we look to leaders. But the psalm says, the Lord gives justice to the oppressed. We need provision, so we look to the rich. But it says, the Lord gives food to the hungry. We want freedom, so we look to politicians. But the psalm declares, the Lord sets the prisoners free. It's this radical reframing of where real, lasting help actually comes from.
And look, this isn't just some nice idea or a philosophical thought. This principle is shown in a couple of incredible stories that really highlight what happens when human power completely runs out. So first up, you've got Job. Before everything went wrong for him, this guy was basically a modern-day billionaire CEO and a powerful governor all rolled into one. He had the money, the influence, the power. He was the definition of a prince that you would go to for help. And yet, after he loses everything, God comes to him with this incredibly simple, humbling question. He basically asks, Job, with all the power you once had, could you even feed one single baby bird? And in that moment, Job gets it. He realizes his immense power couldn't even handle one of the smallest functions of creation. His ability to truly save was so limited.
Now, the second story is even more intense. It's the Apostle Peter, thrown into a maximum security prison by King Herod. And this wasn't just a slap on the wrist. It was a death sentence. He was just waiting for his execution. I mean, from a human standpoint, there was absolutely no way out.
Just think about the layers here. He was arrested by the highest authority in the land. He was condemned to die. He was literally chained between two soldiers. And on top of all that, the prison doors were heavily guarded. There was no influential friend, no clever escape plan, no human intervention that could possibly get him out of that. And then, after an angel miraculously sets him free, Peter's conclusion is everything. He doesn't say, wow, my friends really pulled some strings for me. Nope. He says, now I know for certain that the Lord rescued me. He knew without a doubt that his freedom came from a power far beyond any human ability. He was living out the truth of Psalm 146.
So, all of this brings us to the final, really powerful idea in the psalm. It's the huge difference between a temporary offer and an eternal guarantee. I mean, just look at this comparison. On the one hand, the very best a person can offer is, hey, I'll help you tomorrow. And they might mean it with everything they have. But we've seen how that promise can get broken by 1,000 different things, including their own death. But then you have the divine promise. He remains faithful forever. See, that's not a promise that depends on circumstances. It's a guarantee that's rooted in a character that never, ever changes.
And this faithfulness isn't just for a crisis or for a single lifetime. The psalmist wraps up by saying, this divine faithfulness lasts from generation to generation. It's the ultimate anchor in a world that is just full of temporary fixes and sinking ships.
So as we wrap this up, we're right back at that first question, but now it has a lot more weight. It's not just about who you call first when things go wrong. It's about where your deepest, most foundational hope is placed. In a world full of temporary princes and plans that fade away, this psalm is asking us all to stop and consider the eternal alternative. So the question is, where is your trust truly anchored?